appreciate everybody taking time to come out. You ready? Okay. All right. Ooh, oh, that's loud. Okay. All right. I guess I don't have to talk that loud, so that's a good thing. Good evening once again. I want to welcome everyone. I'm Dwayne Preston, the Chief of Police here in the city of Bowie. And thank you for coming out for the Community Matters meeting that we're having this evening. So what I want to do is start first by explaining, and I don't think I've ever done this before, even though I've been holding these meetings now for 2 years, as to why we call it Community Matters. Because obviously the community is important to us, and we're discussing those matters that are going on in the community, but you all do matter, and in everything that we do, we exist because we're here to serve you, and I want to make sure that that is something that's reiterated to each and every resident from each and every member of our police department. It is our pleasure to serve you as your police department, and there's not anything that you can't ask of us, okay? That is why we're here with your police department, and you know, we're here to ask. I may not be able to do everything, but you have every single right to ask, and we owe you on the response as it relates to that request. So before I get into the agenda, you know, I do want to take an opportunity to introduce my staff that I have here this evening. Because they help run this police department, each and every member sworn in civilian, but this is just a small representation of the many members of the police department that are here this evening. So I have Deputy Chief Robert Liberati, I have Captain Robert Stevenson, I have Lieutenant John Knott. He is the commander of our investigative section as well as our community services unit. And I have Lieutenant Anika Howard. Also has Sergeant John McMaster. He is the supervisor of our community services unit, which coordinated this event this evening. Has Sergeant Antoine Gibson. He's our administrative sergeant. So he does a whole lot of different things, does a lot of our background investigation, all of our background investigations, recruitment, hiring, quartermaster, a whole lot of other stuff. And Corporal Dave Redman is one of our community service officers. I have Andre Jones, who is our public information specialist. So he handles all our social media, crime analysis, helps with our hiring and events and things of that sort. We also have from the city, oh, I'm sorry, I missed Janet. I have Corporal Janet Dollard, all right. She is with our community services unit. Andrew Malloy is one of the code compliance officers that we work hand in hand with throughout from the city of Bowie. And Caitlin Sullivan in the back is with the city's Office of Communications. So as you can tell, we have quite a few not only officers from the police department, but also city representatives here to answer the questions for you this evening. If we can't answer the questions, then we'll make sure we get a promise to get you the answer back, okay? All right, so let's jump into the agenda. Can you get the next slide? Okay. Just sit there. What you do? You can just advance past that, please. Go ahead, advance. Okay, so what I wanted to do, and what I'm going to do is, the most important thing to do is to really to answer you all's questions this evening. I do have a short PowerPoint presentation to share some information that I think is important and pertinent to share with you. But after we get through this, then the floor will be open for ask any questions that you have, and I'll do my very best to make sure that you get the answer, okay? So crime that has actually occurred, recently from August of this year till October of 2025 here in the Bowen apartments, you see reflected on the screen. So we had one stolen auto, one call for service for trespassing, one vehicle was impounded, one accident, which was a hit and run, and we had one domestic incident. Okay, so that's what actually happened here in the Bowen apartments. Okay, as I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, you want to say something? August of this year to October 2025. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
October through October 2025. That's for those months, okay? One thing I will say is that, even though I don't have this statistic in the slide for it this evening, we worked hard, even though we'll get into some of the staffing challenges that we had and that we're overcoming. But even with those staffing challenges, we made a lot of great progress in 2025 compared to the crime that we actually saw in 2024. What you'll see is that property crime right now in the entire city year to date is down 15%. That's a significant reduction, okay? And we're talking about things like theft from autos, stolen autos. Stolen autos are actually down 27% this year compared to last year, okay? So we made some great inroads. We've done some great work with deployment of the resources that we have. We have a crime meeting that we generally do about every 2 weeks or so, where we chart out a strategy of deployment based upon the crimes that we're seeing and make sure that the officers are highly visible in the areas where we're seeing crime. And we've seen some reductions. Now, overall, crime is down in the city about 9%, because if you compare violent crime with property crime, and I don't want anyone to be alarmed when I say violent crime, because the city experiences relatively low levels of violent crime. Our biggest challenge is property crime. And so I will do it by comparison's sake. In 2023, there were 0 homicides that occurred in the city of Bowie. Okay, I'm sorry, in 2024. Okay, but in 2025, unfortunately, we've had 2. Now shouldn't be alarming to you, because both of those cases, one was a domestic-related homicide. The other one, I'm sure that you all saw the news, the young lady that went missing in Langley Park, Dakar Thompson. Unfortunately, we found out that suspect actually resided here in the city, so he picked her up in Langley Park and brought her here. The murder actually happened here, and then her body obviously was dumped in Anne Arundel County. Those are the 2 homicides we've had. So we don't have random cases. We don't have, just open-air markets where people are getting shot. So I don't want you to be alarmed. Another driving factor that we're working hard to address is we've seen a significant increase in domestic violence incidents in the city. Again, this is a hidden crime that's occurring in people's private homes. It's pretty challenging for a law enforcement agency to have an impact on that. All right, these are things that are happening inside people's residence. Now, we are taking strides. The county has a family justice center that services victims of domestic violence. We met with the director a couple of weeks ago. Sergeant McMaster and his team is working hand in hand with the Family Justice Center to make sure that the victims of domestic violence are given the resources and taking the steps necessary to get them out of those violent situations. And the hope is to reduce those occurrences. So that's what's really driving our violent crime numbers. And so, to be totally transparent, we're going to share that information, the good and the bad, of what we're experiencing in the city. But I don't want anybody to be alarmed, and I want you empowered to have actual factual information and not conjecture or something that someone posts on social media that is, not the truth, okay? You will see a lot of stuff in communication on social media. If any of you all follow those things, I don't most of the time, because all it does is frustrate me most of the time, because most of the information that's shared on there is not factual, okay? We are accessible as your police department, so if you want factual information, all you have to do is call us and ask, okay? Fair enough, sir? No. Yeah, this is for the entirety of 2025. So this does not have anything to do with the recent furlough. Can you say over the last 30 days, it may have contributed somewhat to it? It could have, but this has been a trend that we've seen throughout the entire calendar year for 2025. Okay, all right, next slide. I'm sorry, yes ma'am.
I'm loud.
For those, if you could use the mic, because this is being streamed live, so the people that are watching, so that they can hear your question as well.
Okay, on the slide that you had up there before,
Yes.
the hit and run, that was here at the Bowen?
Yes, it was reported here from the apartment. So it could have been something, I don't have the details, but it could have been something as simple as someone's car in the garage was struck and they came out and found it.
Oh, I see.
It could be something very minor. I just don't have the details of the.
That's what I was gonna
exact
ask
nature.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Not a pedestrian, yes, okay. All right.
Doesn't have to be a person, it could be
Yeah, next
someone
slide.
found out the car was hit when they came to.
So what we've been talking about, whenever I come out to the community, what I want to talk about is our approach. And most of the focus, as I mentioned, is property crime is what we've been experiencing. And most of that crime occurs on the overnight hours or during the overnight hours. So we have a three-pronged approach that we've been working on through education, prevention, and enforcement. Education is what we're doing here tonight. Education is the information and tips that we post online, the flyers that we hand out. All of those different things are geared toward educating the community on things that you can do to reduce your chances of becoming a victim and making your vehicle a target, okay? So the things like removing valuables from your vehicle, don't leave your laptops and your phones inside your computer, your key fobs. How many people got push to start vehicle? All right? Now push to start vehicle. All right? You got to push to start vehicle. How many of you all leave your key in there? Your key fob? Oh, and I'm sorry. I'm probably sure nobody's going to admit to it, but we've seen that occur quite often where, unfortunately, and I mean fortunately or unfortunately, I think that the city is a very safe city. So much so there's been reported that it's one of the safest cities in the state of Maryland, and so that's something to be proud of. But sometimes our residents take that too literally and think that you can leave your doors unlocked, leave valuables in your car, and things of the sort. I don't advise that. I want you to make sure that you're taking your valuables out of your vehicle and doing those things. We've actually had people that have had their cars stolen because if you leave a key fob in there, suspects may come around with the intent to maybe steal something out of your car, and they push the button and say, oh, I got a free gift, so now I'm gonna take the car, okay? So we just ask that you remove those things from your vehicle, as well as garage door openers as well. Yes, ma'am. Yes. We have not seen that as a recent trend, but those things, come and go. You'll be surprised that there's actually a black market for people. Okay. The question was about, we had a spike of handicap placards being stolen from vehicles. We've seen that trend not only here in the city, but throughout Prince George's County. There is a black market for that. Believe it or not, people will buy handicap placards that are not handicapped so they can park in those spaces. But what we try to do is identify the trends that we're seeing and share that information in the community as much as we can, okay?
Were those included in the statistics that you had up there, the handicap sticker thefts?
No, that's all. That was. We haven't had those recently during the time period of August through October here. Those statistics that I shared were just for the Bowen Department only. October this year, yes, ma'am. Okay, all right. These are some of the tips that I kind of already went over, but these are the things we would like you to do: is lock your vehicles and take the keys or the fob. Remove valuables, purses, wallets, laptops, and other electronics. Park in well-lit areas when possible. Use a steering wheel lock. And if you see something, say something. The last point there is most important, all right? I started off when I first started to address you all this evening. You can't call us too much, all right? And you all know best your neighborhoods even more so than we do. You know who belongs here, who lives here, what doesn't look right, what doesn't fit. I ask you to call us. If you see something that doesn't look right, I don't want you to excuse it away, oh, that's probably just this or that. If it turns out to be nothing, then we'll check the person out, we'll send them on their way, no harm, no foul. But it could be someone that's about to break into either your vehicle or your neighbor's vehicle or do something. Allow us to come out to make that assessment. And if it's nothing, then that's all it is. But you can't call us too much, all right? So please do. Trey, next. So one of the next things is, the city has a very robust safe speed program, other words known as speed cameras. All right, and I know sometimes that's the favorite topic that love them or hate them, but it's a topic that is discussed quite frequently. What I would say, and I'll stop for a moment and acknowledge we have our city council member Dennis Brady here in the back as well, and so I welcome him and his support this evening, to be with us. I'm sorry, he serves at large, yes. He's our council member that serves at large, so he serves all of the residents throughout the city, okay? But as I get to speed cameras, the recent legislation obviously has allowed us to expand speed cameras to residential areas. It used to be just for school zones, all right? So all of this information is public information. We don't run a gotcha program. You know exactly where the cameras are because everything's listed on our website. You know every single authorized location where a speed camera has been authorized because it's on our website. All right, all of that information is displayed. What I would say is this, and some have made the argument that speed cameras are just nothing but another tax. I don't buy into that, and the reason that is the case is before you are considered in violation, you have to be exceeding the posted speed limit by 12 miles per hour. So I put it to you this way. If you go down any residential street where the average speed limit is 25 miles per hour, think about where you live. If there's a car driving down the street at 37 miles per hour, because that's the speed at which they would be cited, I don't think there's any of us that will consider that to be excessive. Would you not? I know I do. If you don't drive on my street at 37 miles per hour, and I may have young children or people visiting, senior citizen, things of that sort, you come blazing down the street 37 miles per hour, that's way too fast, right? So, in my opinion, you deserve to get a citation. If it was up to me, it should be less than 12 miles per hour, but the law is what it is. But effective, go ahead. The citation is a ticket, or if that's the terminology. But one thing that I will speak to is that prior to October 1st in the state, it didn't matter if you were exceeding the speed limit 12 miles per hour over or 50 miles per hour over. The maximum fine was $40. All right, the state legislature passed the law effective October 1st that now allows for a tiered fine system. Okay, the city council approved that recently, and our legislation actually goes into effect on November 19th. So on November 19th, we will be adopting the state regulated tiered system. We didn't make any modifications to it. That information is listed here. If you can you enlarge it a little bit, Andre, please? You got it, okay. Hold on, Rob, hold on.
Sorry. Yeah, come November 19th, the new state law goes into effect, and it gives the first tier of 12 to 15 miles over. Of course, I lost it. Okay. 12 to 15 miles over, and that's $40. That remains the same. If you do between 16 and 19 miles over the speed limit, it's $70. 20 to 29 over the speed limit, $120. And 30 to 39 miles over, $230. And then the final tier, 40 miles an hour over the limit, is $425. Now, these are civil penalties. There's no points with this. There's no insurance reporting, that kind of thing. So, for people that are close, that $40 fine, that's what we see most of the violations at that 12 to 15 over. But it gives us an opportunity to really get people's attention. They get stung a little bit, but it's not really a backbreaker until you're way over. So it does do us some good. People are the number one thing we get asked about is speed, stop sign, reckless driving in the community. So
Good. Yes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
more than so many times that the tag could get suspended?
No.
Because that's what I'd
No,
heard. Because it
that's-
was like somebody else could be driving your car.
No.
Not that I'm letting anybody drive my car,
No.
but
No.
I'm-
That's
you
that's
know,
not true.
that's not true.
No.
Okay.
What happens is that once you get a speed camera citation, you're allotted a certain amount of time. If you don't pay that citation, then what we would do is flag your registration. If you live in the state of Maryland, we will flag your registration. That information is shared with Motor Vehicle Administration. And when it comes time to renew your tags, you will not be able to renew your tags until you pay any outstanding fines that you have. So if you have multiple fines or unpaid citations that have been flagged, then you won't be able to renew your registration until those things have been satisfied. Okay? All right? All right?
If we catch DC people rolling through at a high rate, how do we enforce that?
We do have reciprocity, with DC and Virginia, but I will be honest, it can be challenging to collect those, especially out-of-state tags. But we work, through our contractor to in their Department of Motor Vehicles and things of that sort, to enforce those and recover those fines. All right. Any other questions about speed cameras? Okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
All
Sure.
the 240
I
numbers.
sure will. One other thing about speed cameras I did fail to mention is that we had to prove there's something around 20, it's upwards of 27, almost 30 locations that have been approved throughout the city. But the city only has 12 cameras, okay? So we rotate the cameras through the locations, as I mentioned before. All of that information can be found on the City of Bowie website. So if you go to the website, you'll see and you'll know exactly where the cameras are placed, all right? Because again, the intention and what's been communicated by our city council is that this is not a revenue generating program. The goal is to make the streets safer in the city by getting people to slow down. The council will gladly carry this as a liability instead of a profit-making, scenario. We just want people to slow down. So if people slow down, it really costs the city money because the city pays a fixed fee. So the vendor doesn't make more money. We don't make more money based upon the number of violations. The city pays the same fixed fee for each camera every single month, regardless if no citations are issued or 1,000 citations are issued. Okay? All right? Sir.
At Pointer Ridge and Parkington?
Yes.
Is that one of the new systems for the cameras for the
No.
people who don't stop?
No, it's not. The city, I'm glad you brought that up. The city has created what we term as a traffic management work group. And so there's representatives of the police department, our public works director, our planning department, and the assistant city manager. And what we do is we meet monthly to address complex traffic-related issues. So if it's a request for traffic calming, consideration, speed enforcement, but that way we have a coordinated response. So we don't have our public works department working on something and we get a separate complaint to the police department, and we need to make sure that we're communicating and coordinating our resources and taking the best actions to address that. So that flashing stop sign came as a result of a concern raised by a resident. Our public works department looked at that, and their solution was to put in a flashing sign to bring more visibility to that stop sign, hopeful to get people's attention to abide by that. Last year, I guess it was, we did do a pilot and tested a speed camera detection system, and but that was something that the legislation is something relatively new that was just recently passed to allow for it. But at this point, the city of Bowie has not elected to employ that system in terms of a fine associated with speed cameras. Now, it'll be of interest, I'm sure, to me and maybe to Councilman Brady, what the residents' desire are, because if that's an issue, then that's something that we can examine in the traffic management work group to see if that's something that is an issue here in the city because it's a very controversial thing. Some people are not proponents for it, but it's one of those things that we do have some accidents that occur, especially at all-way stops and things of that sort. We have violations, and the only means that we have today to enforce that are by the traditional means of a police officer.
The way we're broken up with the county, the city, so you're going down 301 near Pointer Ridge, well, you're in the city, but then real quickly you're in the county. So do you guys get the opportunity to find them if they're over that limit and in the county, or is that only if they're still within the city limits, since the city of Bowie seems to be growing so rapidly?
You talking about for speed cameras?
Yes, sir.
So our speed cameras only exist within the incorporated city. So Prince George's County has their own speed cameras for those areas in Prince George's County. So, but those would not be in the incorporated city. Okay. So in the incorporated city are only the cameras that we operate. And outside of the jurisdiction, the county has some other speed cameras that they have deployed at various locations throughout the county. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Why haven't they installed a camera on that street?
A speed camera?
No, just a regular camera for the break-ins that they've had in the past.
But the city does not have any city cameras that we deploy on public streets and locations. So if there's something that you want to, you can inquire about your management company looking to install those things. Now we do have a program that we are working with Prince George's County on, where there is an opportunity to take private cameras and to be able to ingest that those cameras are fed to the county's real-time crime center. So that's something that we're looking at increasing. There's some other discussions about acquiring some public cameras, but at this current time, public-owned or city-owned cameras. At this time, we do not have any city cameras that are deployed outside of city facilities. So we do have city-owned cameras at city facilities, but not any of them installed in the public. Okay. What do you consider a lot? Break in here, or you mean on health center? Well, so, as I mentioned before, and I'm not going to, it's not my intent to minimize any crime because one crime is too many. But as I mentioned, we've seen, significant reduction in theft from autos throughout the city. So, we made a concerted effort to really, really step up our patrols to address that, and we've seen a reduction in that. But, we still, if there's an issue, and this goes back to what I stated earlier, if you all see something that doesn't look right, you got to give us a call so we can get out here and investigate it. All right, that's the only way we can be effective is if we can get here to investigate and to be the deterrent, okay? So.
Yeah, I think the part of the question on Health Center Drive, right along here,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, there's broken glass out there all the time, like there's ongoing break-ins.
Yeah, when we look at the statistics daily, and I don't think recently I've seen any kind of pattern for Health Center Drive. We've seen more things along 301 down on the southern side of the city borders where we've had a lot more challenges, and crime moves. So, I'm not saying that at some point we may have had a spike here and there, bless you, but crime does move, and so we have to be responsive to that. So I want to kind of give a general idea of the challenges that we have, because the city's 20 square miles, okay? So it's 20 square miles is quite a large landmass to cover. On average, we have about 5 or 6 patrol officers at any given time working the entire city. So you can imagine it's quite a bit of area to cover with 6 patrol officers. And so we try to patrol as much as we can to be visible, but we also, our first responsibility is the handling calls for service. So as you are being responsible to the residents, if there's a police need and a call for service, that's our first priority. Proactive patrols come in between those opportunities and calls for service. So, you know, look, being responsive to the 911 calls, the non-emergency number calls, I think that's the most important thing. When you need police service, you want us there as quickly as possible. And that's our first priority, is to make sure that we get there as quickly as we possibly can. Yes, ma'am. At a time. At a time, yes. So the department, so I guess I'll get into the staffing challenges. The department is authorized, we've evolved. At the beginning of the year, we were authorized as 67 sworn officers. Okay, that sounds like a lot. But what you see here today, you get 7 members of the command staff. We're sworn officers. Take that off the top. We're not patrolling, okay? We have investigators, which is 4 investigators. I think it's 4? 3. 3 investigators and a supervisor. That's another 4. We have community service officers that you see here. So that number starts to trickle down. Long story short, we have 4 patrol squads. The average patrol squad has about 7 or 8 officers on and a supervisor, but they rotate. Obviously, they're not working 7 days a week. They have days off, they have leave, and things of that sort. So generally, what it boils down to is we have about 5 or 6 patrol officers at any given time, 24 hours a day, that are working and patrolling the city. Add to that, we've had significant vacancies. You know, at this point, we currently have 18 vacancies for sworn positions. But let me qualify that, okay? Our number has grown. So it was 167. Our city council has supported us due to the development to grow to 70. And recently we were awarded, and this is something we'll be presenting to the city council shortly, we were awarded a grant by the COPS office, which is a federal grant, for an additional 5 officers. So that'll take us to 75. That's a growth that's needed. So that kind of factors into the 18 vacancies, okay? But we have 4 officers currently that just graduated from the academy that are in field training. We have 2 other experienced officers that just joined us, one that retired from Prince George's County, one that joined us from Metropolitan Police. We have another officer that's coming from Chevy Chase to be starting this month as well. So, and we have another police academy that's starting December 1st that we intend to put 5 recruits into that class. So we're making great strides to add the officers, but it takes time, and I'm asking for everyone's patience, because it's usually from the time we hire them, then they complete an academy and get through field training. It generally takes about a year before we actually really realize their impact on adding to the complement, okay? It's a long process, but it's something that we're working diligently. Again, the city council, you know, is very supportive. They last year hired a marketing company to assist us in attracting qualified applicants for sworn and civilian positions. So that was significant in helping us to really attract people that were worthy to work here in the city. So we're seeing that effort is continue to trend, and we're encouraged that hopefully by this time next year, you know, we will have cut that 18 officer vacancy in half, if not more than that. So, you know, and as we're able to do that, we'll be able to bring on more proactive units other than patrol. We got so short, we had to disband. We used to have what we call a directed response team that we could put out there to focus on problem areas, but we had to disband that just to make sure that we had adequate officers to patrol, okay? So hopefully around the first of the year, I anticipate we'll be in a position to bring back the directed response team, and we'll be even to be, you know, more proactive at that point, okay? All right. Okay, how to request police services. Traditional way is 911, so let me define what that means. So if it's an in-progress crime, if you feel like you're being threatened, your life is being threatened, your family member or something like that, you need us there. ASAP is an emergency, you call 911. I only want you to think about it, okay? An emergency number is a number that comes directly to the Bowie Police Department. We have our own dispatch and communication section, all right? That number there that you see is 240-544-5700. Again, 240-544-5700. A non-emergency is considered something that is not an emergency, meaning, you know, even if you had your car broken into, but there's no suspects around, you just want to report it. Somebody vandalized your car, we want you to call that. Even if it's something like, you know, hey, some people look suspicious, they might be hanging out front of the building, but you know, you just want them checked out. Call the non-emergency number. The reason why that's important is that in Prince George's County, there's one 911 center. It happens to be here in the city of Bowie, down in Melford. But the issue and the challenge is that everybody's seen the news stories of, I can't believe I called 911 and I was put on hold. Well, I heard the recording, right? Everybody heard those stories. The reason that occurs is that everybody in here got a cell phone, right? All right, well, I got two, okay? So what happened is, let's say it's a bad accident that happens right here at 197 and Northview Drive, and you all are all heading that way and you see it, and because of the good residents that you are and citizens that you are, everyone wants to help and give people help, so everybody's calling 911. It's one accident, but it's 5 calls coming in about the same incident, okay? All of those calls have to be answered. And what happens is that if you get frustrated and hang up, you add to the queue because the 911 operator doesn't know if you had an emergency, so they have to call you back, okay? So that takes away from the 911 operators to answer the calls, and then they also answer calls not only for police, but for fire and EMS as well. So the 911 system is very, very important. What we're trying to do is reduce the number of calls that are coming in and to 911 by taking the non-emergencies off their hands, because you'll be surprised some of the things that people, both Deputy Chief and I and Lieutenant Knott, a couple of us around here, we all retired from Prince George's County, so you'll be surprised some of the stories you hear, people call 911 about, hey, I need directions on how to fry a turkey. You'll be surprised. These things happen, and these things really clog up the system for those that have true emergencies that need to get through. So anything that we can do to reduce that burden off of them, that's what the goal is in the non-emergency number, okay? All right. Question, yes.
For every, I mean, it's just all, everybody.
All in Prince George County, everybody in Prince George County. Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Whatever jurisdiction the phone carriers and all that have figured all that, they know exactly based on your location which 911 center to route it to. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right. So if we do have a crime that does occur, and a lot of people have security systems and things of that sort, if for some reason you have captured some video that may be of help to our investigators, we have set up an email address for you to send that video and share it with us that will help hopefully solve a crime. And that email address is evidence@cityofbowie.org. Again, it's evidence@cityofbowie.org, okay? We'll do our very best. Just because we have video, doesn't mean that, that's all we need to solve a crime. There's a lot of steps that have to go from there in terms of the quality of the video and trying to identify the perpetrators. Some of you all, if you follow us on social media, you'll see time to time when we put out flyers for crimes that have occurred, try to identify suspects and things of that sort. We have a photo, but we don't know who the person is. So we're hoping someone in the community recognizes the photo, gives us a tip, and then that way we're able to follow up on that and hopefully solve a crime. Okay, next slide. Okay. We also have a camera rebate program. So in line with the previous slide, if you have a camera system, the city offers a $50 rebate to you. And all we ask is that you're willing to share the video. We don't have access to your camera, but if a crime happens and we reach out to you that a crime occurred in your neighborhood, and if you check your system, if you have video that may lead or provide some evidence, we ask that you send it to the email address, the evidence@cityofbowie.org. So if you want more information about that, take a look at the website for the camera rebate program. You have to be a city resident. You have to provide a copy of the sales receipt. You have to show a photo of the actual system installed at your residence with a picture of your address, and we'll process you the rebate. Okay? So, I'm going to have, where's Lieutenant Howard? Okay. Yes. So. Yes, for the apartments as well, yes. All right. So I'm going to have Lieutenant Howard. She leads our operations section. and the recruiting effort. So have her talk a little bit about what we're doing and the type of people we are looking to join our department.
Hi, ooh, okay. I think I don't need a mic, but good evening. Good screen. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Howard. For those who missed our introductions, I am the commander of operations here at the Bowie Police Department. And thank you for everyone for coming out this evening to, talk to us and, voice your concerns. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit about hiring. And as you would know, the Bowie Police Department is hiring. So by a raise of hands, is there anyone in here that's interested? Because we're doing hiring on the spot. No. Okay. I would say that came with a $15,000 bonus. So does that change the dynamics? No? Okay. All right. So we are currently hiring for entry-level police officers and lateral police officers. You have a hand? We have an application for you, okay? With that being said, also, we offer a lot of good benefits, right? So we have retirement, 401k, medical. We do 2/3 tuition reimbursement. We also have triple time holidays, and one of the things that a lot of citizens have been taking advantage of is a $1,000 referral. So anyone who refers someone who successfully completes the police academy gets $1,000, right? So does that change the dynamics with anyone who knows someone? Maybe? Okay. And like I said, and then you also, have the opportunity of being, employed with the best police department in the state of Maryland, okay? I just want to say that. I just want to put that out there. We do physical agility tests every Saturday, right? So anyone who you know that may be interested, we do the physical agility tests at 9 a.m. every Saturday morning at the Bowie Police Department. I have business cards that I'll be more than willing to give each and every one here, because I want Christmas is coming up, right? We need that $1,000 for some, pocket money. So I have business cards. If anyone is interested, please, reach out to me. Did I mention that it's a $15,000 for entry-level police officers? And lateral, which means experienced police officers, we also have an incentive of $20,000, right? And I got a round of applause for that? Yeah? Okay, good. So, just wanted to let you know about that. We also have information on our website. We have our code right there, the QR code, if you need any additional information. That's there, and I'm here until the end, so you can feel free to come up to me and ask any questions, okay? This is my first time doing this, so was I okay? Yeah? Okay, good.
Don't go too far. All right. Any questions about the hiring or anything else before Lieutenant Howard goes? Yes, ma'am.
If you do purchase a home in the city of Bowie, you are given $3,000 once you purchase the house within 30 days of being hired. Of course, absolutely. And we do have a take-home cruiser plan as well. And just so you know, not all police departments provide that. It's 30 air miles, right? So you can live Silver Spring, DC, Baltimore,
across the bridge.
Across the bridge. And if you do have, the use for Easy Pass going back and forth, we also cover that because we have a great support system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. So we currently have a really good working relationship with the Bowie State and the police department there, the faculty there. We actually, we're very actively involved in the career fairs that they have. We're always there. We're all over. You go on our social media website, that algorithm is you know, is insane because we're all over. So we do take advantage of that. Any more questions? Oh,
Not about hiring, just a
General question. Go ahead.
general, okay. My question is, hi, thank you for holding
Oh.
this tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
What should residents do when there's a party in a residence going on a, usually a weekend night, and it's beyond the noise ordinance? So, I mean, there houses where you, that are far away from you, and you can feel the percussion, you know, it's that loud. I know my husband and I, we have such a house in the old stage area, so I think we've called your non-emergency number, but is that the right thing to do?
Yes. So, as I mentioned before, we want you to call. Any concern that you have, you call us. We do have, as I mentioned, our code compliance officer, Officer Malloy is here, and he works hand in hand with the police department for my code compliance. So especially, the most helpful thing for us is to prevent these house parties before they happen. In order to do that, if there are flyers and things of that sort, or you get information that you know a party's coming up this weekend, the best thing is to start calling us now. We rather get ahead of it and shut it down before it occurs, as opposed to trying to show up when there's 200 to 300 people there, because that's pretty problematic, right? So that's the best way to do it. But in the event that that doesn't occur, we want you to call, and we'll make sure that we get our officers out there to try to address that to the best of our ability. Okay. All right. So the floor is open. So any questions that you all have, feel free to. Well, let me pause. I'm sorry. Let me do that. Before I do that, I want to give a chance for Caitlin Sullivan from our Office of Communications to talk about what they do. Hey, Caitlin.
Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Caitlin. I work upstairs in the city manager's office. I do communications. So Andre does communications for the police department. So he runs the City of Bowie Police Department social media. Our office runs the general City of Bowie government social media, so a little different. We also put out the monthly and weekly newsletters. We are in charge of the message boards, and we also run a program called Alert Bowie. It is a text and email program. So whenever anything is going on, if there's a major incident, we send out a text or an email. It goes right to your phone. It's pretty easy to get. We do not bombard you. I'm signed up for Calvert County Alerts, and they send out 3 or 4 a day, and I ignore them. If we send out 3 or 4 a week, it's been a bad week for us. We send out 1 a week about our newsletter and events that are happening, and then if there's something else going on with the police department or a water main break, then we'll send out another, but we really, really try not to. I'll be at the table with sign-ups. You can also sign up on our website, so please come ask questions. We're here to help.
And Chief, can I jump in? So just to add to my, the employment. So we have a Bridge to Employment Job and Resource Fair tomorrow, November the 6th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's going to be at 9610 Good Luck Road, Lanham, Maryland. So if you do know anyone who may be interested in coming out, and I forgot to also mention that we are hiring for 911 dispatchers as well, right? You want to be a dispatcher? Oh, okay. So we are hiring for that as well. So, if you, like I said, we are our best resource, right? You're here today because you know that we're involved in our community. So that's what other better way to promote, right? Because you know that we're involved. So whoever you refer, after you get that $1,000, that they're going to be in good hands, right? So if you do want additional information on that job fair tomorrow, please visit our website. We're on Bowie PD. JoinBowiePD.com. An age requirement for the fair? No. For the police officer, the police officer, upon graduation from the police academy, you have to be 21 years old. Yeah. How much older? No, we don't. We don't have an age limit. Yeah, we don't. Everyone is welcome. Oh, you have a question? Oh.
Hi.
Yes, hi. Thank you for holding this tonight. I just was wondering if you could speak to the recent gun violence at Bowie High School with the parking lot after school.
Oh, the robbery? Okay.
And then there was, I do know of another one that was that month. So I was just wondering if you just speak to it, and then just any change of response with the police force at the school at dismissal time.
Okay. I'm not going to get into particulars, but that is an incident that there was a young man at dismissal who was just off school property that was robbed of his very expensive coat, and you know, they attempted to intervene and to stop the suspects in that. The suspects, and what we reported, the suspects did not fire at the victim, so I want to make sure that that's clear. They fired in the air to get them to back off, and that was even corroborated by those involved in the incident. We're still investigating that. We have some leads, but to date, no arrests have been made. I'm sorry, one arrest. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Nottis is giving my hand signals from back. One arrest has been made, and we're still working to identify some of the other suspects that were involved in that incident. Okay. It was an incident that we had about a couple weeks ago at Bowie High School, where a young man was robbed of his coat after school dismissed, just off of school property.
So can I just follow up on that? So thank you for explaining that. So I do know of, it's actually a family friend, so I do a student athlete that was leaving school at dismissal time to walk to her grandmother's house. It was definitely off campus, so like around the BSR townhomes, that there were two people who pulled a gun and pointed it at her. She ran away and she was safe. They never shot it. They didn't try to rob her or anything. But it's really scary. They were back-to-back same month. There's a lot of us with kids at Bowie High. So our concern is just police presence around the campus at dismissal time. Is that something that can possibly be increased, like not just in the parking lot, but the surrounding area?
We already have a significant presence at dismissal. You know, Corporal Redmond, a community services team, they can speak to that as a daily occurrence. So we already have 2 school resource officers assigned to the main building and the annex. That's on a full-time basis throughout the day. And then at dismissal, we have, it's routine that our patrol officers know to be in the parking lot, as well as Corporal Redmond is there probably daily at dismissal. And also, we have an agreement with the library, so you also see a presence that we have an officer stationed at the library as well, because a lot of the challenges from the school are connected to the library. So it's a significant presence. What I would say is a challenging situation. It's one of the largest schools, if not the largest public school in Prince George's County. And we work hand in hand with the administration to try to mitigate the challenges that we see with the high school. Okay.
Hey, Chief, just to follow up on the first incident where they did fire shots in the air, we have 2 arrests on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, and we're actively investigating the other one, the young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
Drawn to our children. So when you purchase these things for your children, make sure that you're making sure your child is safe.
And Deputy Chief Liberati did an interview with one of the media outlets and made that very statement. We are not telling people that, you know, that you shouldn't buy your children nice things. That's a parent's prerogative. What we're telling you is those things can make your child a target. Okay, and it's unfortunate that is the case, but that is factual. And so it is something that is regional. It's not just here in the city. City of Bowie, it occurs throughout the region, and you've seen many instances on the news where someone's been robbed with a coat, shoes, etc. So that's a parental decision as to whether or not you choose to send your child to school with designer clothing, but just know that that does increase the chances, you know, of them being targeted. Okay. So, all right.
And one more thing, when we have school in session, Bowie High School becomes a city within the city. We get just about 3,000 kids up there, And as parents, you guys need to impress upon your children about the truancy laws, and they need to be where they're supposed to be. We're not trying to pass the blame to you guys, but you can talk to your kids about being where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. Because again, when Bowie High School is in session, we got 3,000 kids over there. And that becomes a city within a city. And so we try to be as many places as we can. But again, we're limited.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on what Corporal Radman mentioned, the city of Bowie, I'm not city of Bowie, sorry, Bowie High School does not have open lunch. So, if your child was leaving campus to, go to Chick-fil-A or go on, down to the local shopping center, they shouldn't be there. And it makes it particularly challenging for us because that expands the footprint of areas that now we have to cover and spend a lot more time, because now we're dealing with kids hanging out in the Harris Teeter and the Chick-fil-A, as well as trying to patrol the school. So it is a challenge. But, that's where we ask for the cooperation of the parents to work with us as much as possible to make sure that your children, as Corporal Redmond mentioned, are where they're supposed to be. Okay? All right. One thing I did want to mention is that, we do quite a few community programs throughout the city. The next largest one is coming up is Shop with a Cop, which will be December 14th. December 14th. And last year, I think we did 80 children that were in need. 85 children in need. We partner with Target and a lot of the different restaurants to, give the children a good holiday experience. So we look to do that again this year, but we're doing community events quite a bit. One of the other things that we do, and we have some that have been through the program. Yeah, we partner with Target. That's where we take the kids, and they're able to shop and purchase the things that we give them. Each child gets a $100 gift card, so they're able to purchase things for themselves and their family members. Then we take those back to the Bowie Gymnasium where they're able to wrap gifts. We feed them lunch. So it's a wonderful time. And if anybody's interested in providing donations and to support that program, see Corporal Dollard or one of the community service officers after the meeting. One of the other programs that we do is probably is one of my favorite, and I think it's because it's productive and it's informative, similar to the meeting that we have tonight. But we do a Citizens Police Academy. We generally do it in the winter. Do we have a date yet? Citizens Academy?
First week of March.
First week of March, this in 2026. We'll be doing it again. It's a 13-week program. You meet once a week for 13 weeks. But this is an opportunity for you really, really to learn everything about your police department and everything you want to learn about the criminal justice system. So it's not just us. We bring in representatives from Prince George's County Police, our state's attorney's office, the sheriff's department. You're put through judgmental shooting. So a lot of the training that the officers get, you're going to have an opportunity to experience. And the goal is to answer and give some clarity on a lot of questions that you may have about, I don't understand why the police department has to do this. I don't understand why the officer did this. It's a very, and it's not an opportunity to brainwash anyone. It's an opportunity for you to really, really see all of the considerations that an officer takes when they're interacting with someone or how they respond to a particular situation. So if that's something that you're interested in, and I hope you are, and you consider coming, this will be our session, what, 13, Janet? What session? 14? All right, so we've done 13 sessions in average, about 25 to 30 students per class. And a lot of times, most of those people that graduate from the class go on to become part of our family. That's the way we call it, because they help support us at our community events as volunteers and help, because they really become a part of us. And we can't do all of the community events that we do without the support of those that have graduated from our Citizens Academy and our volunteers. So hopefully it's something that you consider. So now, the floor is open for any other questions that anyone may have about anything. Feel free to ask. I know y'all can't be that quiet. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Where's Anika? Lieutenant, oh, there you go. All right. 1 second. while she's looking for that, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. So for the experience, we start off at 58,689, and that is excluding a $6,000 bonus. That's for the experience. For the entry level, we start off at 54,899, and that's excluding the $6,000 bonus as well.
Part-time, or is it all four?
Yes. All right. Any other questions?
Now that there's been ICE presence in Bowie and in Prince George's County, are there any resources that you guys have that we should be distributing to our neighbors? No,
We have not provided any of those down for the police department. I know we had one incident recently. I don't know if that made the media, but I think I guess the point that I want to make is that, to point of clarity, because a lot of the chatter on Facebook, a lot of misinformation was being shared about what the Bowie Police Department, what laws we enforce and what we don't. So, and this is not something new that has just been a recent thing. I've been in law enforcement now 35 years. It's never changed. It's still the same today. There are multiple jurisdictions, and they all have different responsibilities. All right, state and local law enforcement enforce state and local law. We're not federal officers. Conversely, federal officers are not state and local officers. They only enforce federal law. So you won't see a federal officer make a traffic stop. That's not what they do. They don't enforce state law. Okay. Conversely, we don't enforce federal law, which immigration enforcement is a civil enforcement. We're not empowered to do that. Just like our officers don't enforce the law outside of the incorporated city of Bowie because we don't have jurisdiction. Even within the incorporated city, there are parts in the city that are not in the incorporated city, i.e. 301, which is a state road. You won't see us pull traffic on 301 because we don't have jurisdiction. It's handled by state police. So again, this is the type of information we share at the Citizens Academy to really educate our community on what our role is. But what I would say is that our police department and the residents that are here and those that reside in the city have no reason to fear the City of Bowie Police Department, okay? We're here as a resource to serve all people, okay? I'm not going to speak to the issue of federal enforcement because federal enforcement has their mandate, and they may come into the city to enforce federal law. If they do so, they're within their rights to do that, okay? But the Bowie Police Department does not enforce federal law. So hope that answers your question. Now, resource-wise, you know, I'm not aware, you know, of any resources that you may want to reach out to your county council representative, Ingrid Watson. I know that she, you know, may have some resources and express some information about that, you know, so she may be a good point of contact to reach out to see if there's any information at the county level that's being shared for those that would need it. Okay.
Just quickly, aren't they required to let you guys know if they're in the city doing whatever they're doing legally or whatever?
No, there's no requirement. It would be from an officer safety standpoint, it's a best practice to deconflict, so that way, you know, there is no conflict with multiple law enforcement agencies working on the same particular incident. But there's no requirement. No. Yes, ma'am.
The No Kings rally. Oh, the No King rally, like near Bowie High School. Do they have to put in like a heads up to you or put in a?
So Lieutenant Howard is also one of the many hats that she wears. She's also our point of contact or liaison for Homeland Security. So she coordinates with Prince George's County. The organizer of the No Kings rally, every time she plans it, coordinates directly with Lieutenant Howard. So we're aware of those. and those events have been largely peaceful, and we've had no issues or incidents involving those things. So, and they have a public right to demonstrate as long, and we explain to them what the rules of engagement are, the laws surrounding a protest, and as long as they abide by those, there's usually no issue. Yes, ma'am.
I participated in 2 of those, and I just want to thank the police that I saw who were involved out there. They treated the demonstrators very well.
I appreciate
and
that.
In fact, they were very nice.
Yeah, thank you. That's good to hear. Any other questions? All right. Before I conclude, I do want to give Councilman Brady an opportunity. Any remarks you may want to share, Councilman?
I just want to kind of reinforce what the chief's been talking about with regards to an emphasis on really community policing and doing it in the right way. And when we established the police department, what, 20 years ago now? We were concerned and wanted to make sure that we did it right and that we made sure that the department was not only responsive to the needs of the citizens, but also treated the citizens with the dignity that they deserve whenever there are instances where the police interact with the residents. So they've done an excellent job over the 19, 20 years. And to the testament to the chief, these kinds of meetings are very helpful, very beneficial, and I praise him for continuing them and having his staff come out to not only support him, but also to answer and address your concerns. So, as he said early, if you see something, say something. You know, you tell that to your kids when they go to school and what have you, but it's a wise thing for everyone to do, because we are only as safe as our eyes when we are in our neighborhoods. So I want to thank you for coming out, taking the time on this evening, and stay engaged and have a great holiday coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Just one thing I would remind everybody is, please, when you're parking your car, take your keys, lock the doors, and take your stuff out of there if it's visible. Every day we get cars broken into somewhere in the city where somebody left something in there, a laptop, a purse, a wallet, and if they would have just put those things, brought them in with them, and locked the doors, it wouldn't have happened. And their credit cards get taken, and they got a whole mess on their hands. They got to get a new driver's license, new credit cards, deal with the credit bureaus and all that. Just take your stuff with you, put it away, and you'll reduce that chance of your car getting broken into by a huge amount.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much on that. Which is safer, your purse or whatever in a locked trunk of your car, or a locked locker in LA Fitness or any gym?
It depends. Personally, I would rather keep my locked purse or valuables in my locked trunk than I would in a locker at LA Fitness. You don't have any idea who has access through keys to those lockers, and to be able to manipulate those could be rather easy. We get thefts from time to time, and that's any gymnasium that has lockers there. If you have anything of value, besides your workout clothes and things of that sort, I wouldn't leave anything of value in a locker in a gym.
Another thing is, what my wife does, she has a second purse, and just keep the minimum in there, a $20 bill. And even now, today, you could get your driver's license on your phone, so if you get pulled over, you can use that. So minimize that chance, and if something does happen, then your loss will be small.
All right, well, if there are no other questions, once again, I thank everyone for coming out this evening. Me and my staff will be around, so afterwards, if you have any questions, please check out the table and get some information that we have to share with you all this evening. You know, consider attending the Citizens Academy and some of the upcoming community events. Again, you know, I thank you all for coming this evening.